Yeah. Hello, good evening. Good evening, guys. How are you? Welcome to all of you guys uh, to live coaching class of Board of Studies of ICI of a totally new subject that is auditing and assurance. So tell me, guys, how are you? How have you started your preparations? Have you opened your study materials? Yes, guys, tell me. Yes, welcome everybody. Ustad Singh, Koshika Reddy, Ronan Kumar Gohil, Bhumika, Muhammad Aslam, and everybody. Yes, guys, tell me, have you opened your books? Have you opened your modules or browsed the same online? Have you started doing some basic exercise for your exam preparations? Yes, guys. Any response? Yes, guys, you are able to hear me? Yes, Diksha Agarwal, Manas Patra. So, guys, you have you heard about this term auditing? Do you know anything about this term auditing? What is an audit? Have you heard? Have you heard, guys? What do we mean by auditing? Have you heard this term in while watching TV or on social media, or you have read it about it in newspapers? You have read some article where this term came, auditing. Do you know anything about it? First, before we start, I will like to know what do you by yourself know about this term? आप ऑडिटिंग के बारे में क्या जानते हैं? व्हाट इज योर बेसिक स्क्रैच नॉलेज ऑफ ऑडिटिंग? Yes, guys, it is an open session. You can write anything. Do not worry. Do not copy from your module. I do not want any bookish sort of answers from you. Just write from your mind, from your common sense, from what you have gathered till now. You have joined the CA course. You have come through foundation. You might have glanced at some time the term auditing. Do you know anything about this term, about the subject? What does it denote? And what could it could convey possibly? Can you tell, guys? Yes, few responses. I've got verification of books of accounts, inspect documents, examination of books. Yes, checking the books. Muhammad Aslam, independent examination of books. Muhammad Aslam, I think you are copying it from module. So, and Kartika K, she is saying she is a direct entry student and she works in a firm and she does audit work. So that's very fine. That's nice, Kartika. Yes. So Dipanshu is stating about some case which is in news these days. So yes, Dipanshu, auditing is not just this what you are writing, but it is interesting to note. It is interesting to see that you guys are keeping yourself aware of developments happening around you, of the developments which are happening in the society, in the business world. Okay, so that's very fine. Keep it up. So what guys you are writing about auditing, it is just one of the aspects of auditing. You are stating that auditing relates to verification of books of accounts, checking records. Okay, it is fine. This is part of the auditing. This is part and parcel of the auditing. It forms part of the whole audit process. So guys, before we proceed, uh, please tell me who prepares financial statements of an organization? Whose responsibility is to prepare financial statements of an organization, of a company? Whose primary responsibility it is? Financial statements, you understand? Balance sheet, profit and loss account, cash flow statement, all these in which financial information is comprised, these are all known as financial statements. So whose responsibility is it to prepare financial statements? Yes, management of the company. Muhammad, you're right. Management of the organization, management of an entity, management of a company, management of an entity is primarily responsible for preparation and presentation of financial statements. Guys, ये आप स्टूडेंट्स, ये आप अपने बात को दिमाग में बिठा लें. दिस इज द फंडामेंटल थिंग. नाउ सम ऑफ यू आर राइटिंग सीए. तुषार शर्मा, Male Bag, you are writing CA. No, CA is not responsible for preparation and presentation of financial statements. CA, what you are writing CA, I understand that you are saying auditor. No, the primary responsibility of preparation and presentation of financial statements lies with the management, lies with the owners who are responsible for running the company, for running the organization. Is that clear? Now they may employ some skilled accountants, or they may employ qualified chartered accountants. That's a different issue. But the primary responsibility of preparation and presentation of financial statements lies with management. Guys, you have to remember this, because sometimes what happens that in the that so much information which we are absorbing, we lose sight of certain basic things. We often become ignorant of some fundamental issues, from some fundamental points, and which leads to then confusion in our minds, and we are not able to grasp the concepts. Okay, so is that clear, guys? So the preparation and presentation of financial statements is the responsibility of management. So if management is responsible for preparation of accounts, then obviously you should understand that there should be a mechanism by which authenticity of these financial statements is verified. There need to be some independent sort of mechanism by which the financial statements can be verified, that what the management is saying, whether it is true or not, whether all the disclosures have been made in the financial statements, whether amounts reflected in the financial statements are correct, whether financial statements have been prepared in accordance with the law, in accordance with the applicable reporting financial framework. So who ensures this? Who would ensure this? So to address all these issues, there is a mechanism of an independent audit of financial statements. Okay, guys, now you understand where does this whole concept of auditing fit in? Yes, guys. So I'm taking a little bit of time to make you understand these basic concepts. We are not hurrying into it. So is that clear to you guys? So guys, you would be fairly well able to understand that in a business, in a commercial organizations, there are transactions happening every day. Okay, there are many transactions happening with MNCs coming, with the scale of business being magnified. So there is a need for an independent mechanism of verification of accounts and financial statements of an organization. Okay, so here lies the importance of auditing. So guys, this subject is not important from theoretical point of view, but it is also important practically. So when you would be qualifying your chartered accountancy examinations, and those of you who would be going in public practice, then you would be required to attest the financial statements of different organizations. You would be conducting audit work. So that would be one of the main areas in which you would be working as a professional. So you can gauge the importance of this subject, how important this subject is, and not only from examination point of view, but also from practical point of view. Okay, now Aparajita Mishra, you are saying your voice is not clear, but nobody else has complained. Aparajita, please check at your end. So now we come to the definition of auditing. What do we mean by auditing? So guys, audit is an independent examination. Audit is an independent examination of financial information of any entity, whether profit oriented or not, irrespective of its size or legal form. So iska, guys, what is the meaning of it? इसका मतलब ये है कि ऑडिट एक इंडिपेंडेंट एग्जामिनेशन है, किसका? ऑफ फाइनेंशियल इंफॉर्मेशन. So what do we mean by financial information? Financial information is the information which is comprised in the financial statements. Okay, like information about the sales, expenses, profit, loss, information about the receivables, payables, information about the fixed assets, information about the loans, borrowings. Okay, so audit is an independent examination of financial information of an entity, whether profit oriented or not, irrespective of its size or legal form. So what does this mean? This means that it is not necessary that audit can only be done in respect of commercial organizations. It can be undertaken, say, in respect of not for profit organization, in case of an NGO, okay, and in respect of and irrespective of its size or legal form. It means that the company may be big or small, the organization may be big or small, or it can be of any legal form. It can be a company, it can be a partnership firm, it can be a proprietorship firm, it can be a society, it can be a trust, any damn thing. Okay. When such an examination is conducted with a view to expressing an opinion thereupon. So this is the crux कि ऑडिट एक इंडिपेंडेंट एग्जामिनेशन तो है, लेकिन उसका पर्पस क्या है? उसका पर्पस है टू एक्सप्रेस एन ओपिनियन. जो ऑडिटर वॉट एवर इट डज, वॉट एवर procedures he applies, which you would be studying. So the ultimate outcome of all these things is expression of opinion. He gives his opinion. Now, Swastika S, you are asking what is the full form of CA. So, Swastika, you have joined Chartered Accountancy course. So, how you can ask this question? What is the full form of CA? Or you want to ask something else? So guys, is that clear to you? That main objective of an auditor is to express an opinion on the financial information of an entity. Is that clear to you? So the outcome of an audit is the expression of an opinion. Okay, so how this opinion is expressed? This opinion is expressed by means of an audit report. So when an auditor conducts audit, after he conducts the audit, he expresses his opinion, he gives his opinion about the financial information, about the financial statements in the form of a written audit report. Okay, so is that clear to you guys? Meaning of audit? Mohit Saini, you are asking legal form. What does legal form mean? Legal form means I have already explained to you कि उसका लीगल स्ट्रक्चर कैसा भी हो. जैसे वो एक प्रोप्राइटरशिप कंसर्न है, या वो एक पार्टनरशिप फर्म है जिसमें 3 पार्टनर मिलकर काम कर रहे हैं, या वो एक प्राइवेट लिमिटेड कंपनी है, या एक पब्लिक कंपनी है, या एक लिस्टेड कंपनी है, या एक सोसाइटी है, या एक ट्रस्ट है, एक हॉस्पिटल है. ओके, and now here one more term comes about which we will be studying in detail later on. For the time being, we will discuss it only broadly. So the term is independent. So what does this mean? We say that audit is an independent examination. Now, what does independence means? Independent means that the auditor is free from external influences, that he cannot be influenced. He is a person, when he is conducting audit, he is not subject to some external pulls and pressures. Okay, he cannot be influenced. So we shall be studying about this term later on. So guys, while studying audit, this is your first class. Please have a little patience. इसमें बहुत सारी गाइस नई टर्म्स हैं और आपको बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिलेगा, लेकिन अगर आप सोचो कि आपको एक दो क्लासेस में पूरी की पूरी ऑडिटिंग समझ आ जाए तो ये तो फाइनल में भी चलेगी. ओके, सो इसलिए की पेशेंस, बट whatever logical questions you are asking, do ask. जो जो स्टूडेंट्स आप क्वेश्चन पूछ रहे हैं उसमें से most of these would be answered right away in this chapter. Okay, Ayush, we would be studying about concept of independence in quite detail. Okay, so it forms part of this chapter. Now Dhanshri Shinde, you are asking what is the need of audit. This we would also be taking up in a short while from now. The basic need of audit is, Miss Shinde, is that it might be required legally or it might be required voluntarily. So when there is legal requirement, it has to be followed mandatorily. Like in case of companies, there is a requirement under Companies Act 2013 that accounts of every company shall be audited. Okay, so here it is a legal requirement, but it is not necessary that every time, that for every audit there is a legal requirement. Audit can be conducted voluntarily also without any compulsion, without any legal mandate, because of the benefits flowing, because of the various benefits flowing from audit. Okay, so we shall be discussing what are the benefits from an independent examination of financial information. That is, what are the benefits, what are the advantages from an audit. So when you will study the advantages of an audit, you would realize that in fact there is need for an audit. You would understand how important it is to get the accounts audited. Okay, clear guys? Is that clear? So when audit is undertaken, the auditor should ensure that financial statements would not mislead anybody. Okay, so he would do what things he would do. He would say that accounts have been drawn up with reference to books of accounts. Okay, obviously the financial statements, balance sheets have been prepared in accordance with the underlying accounting records. That is a basic requirement. Yes, Reshu, Jen, we are getting all the messages. The entries in books of accounts are supported by sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. Now, what is there in books of accounts? Whatever entry has been passed in books of accounts, what is the supporting proof of it? Say there is an say 5 lakh rupees has been debited in purchase account, then what is the source document of it? How this entry has been passed? Where is the purchase bill? Where is the goods received note? Okay, where is the proof that goods have been received in the factory? What is the transportation document? Okay, so all these things. None of the entries in books has been omitted. So this is also important, that any entry, any transaction which was required to be incorporated in books of accounts has not been omitted. Okay, it has been reflected in books of accounts. The information conveyed by statements is clear and unambiguous. Unambiguous means without any doubt. Without any doubt, clear. Okay. Yes, Syed, all your messages are reaching. Financial statements are properly classified, described, and disclosed. Proper classification is there. Okay, all the heads of accounts are properly classified, described as required by the applicable financial reporting framework, and the financial statements give a true and fair view of the state of affairs of the concern. That it gives a fair representation of the state of affairs and operational results. So what do you mean by state of affairs? When we say state of affairs, it means the financial position, what is reflected by the balance sheet, and what are the operational results, what is the profit, what is the loss, what are the sales, what expenses were incurred during the year, whether it resulted into a profit or loss, all those things. Okay, so guys, you can well judge how important the subject of auditing is, and uh, enormous responsibility is on the shoulders of auditors who are chartered accountants. When they sign the financial statements of an organization, when they sign the financial statements of a company having business running into thousands of crores of rupees, okay, having operations in different countries, okay, so you can very well understand how enormous responsibilities is on the shoulders of the auditors. Okay, yes, all things you are writing tell us about how to prepare notes. So students, this is your first class. Just try to listen what I am telling you. These things, all these things I will let you know. But first try to understand what I'm trying to convey to you. Okay. So financial audit Diksha is usually carried out by chartered accountants. Okay. And Jay Suneja, you are asking, please explain point number 3 once again. It means say the no entry which was required to be made in the books of accounts has been omitted. Say some provision was required to be made in the books of accounts, but that has not been made. Okay, so that is an omission. Okay, Syed Ahmad, unambiguous, I have already explained. Clear, without any doubt. Okay, ambiguous means doubtful and unambiguous means clear. Okay students, now we come to objectives of audit. So आपको स्टूडेंट्स मोटा मोटा समझ आ गया कि ऑडिटिंग क्या चीज है, नेचर क्या है ऑडिटिंग की, यू अंडरस्टैंड. So guys, you have also to understand that auditing is an assurance engagement. What it is? Assurance engagement. Now, what is assurance? Now, next logical question is, what is assurance? Assurance means to provide comfort. Okay, to provide comfort. हिंदी में इसको समझें, तसल्ली देना. So when the auditor expresses an opinion, he assures users of the financial statements. Financial statements के users कौन होते हैं students? They may be say shareholders, government authorities, okay, bankers, third parties, कोई भी हो सकता है. धनश्री गारंटी नहीं है एश्योरेंस का मतलब. यहां पे डिफरेंस है. ऑडिट जो है वो गारंटी नहीं है. आपको ये बात समझनी है स्टूडेंट्स. यू हैव टू हैमर इट इनटू योर माइंड्स कि अगर ऑडिटर ने ऑडिट कर दिया तो इस बात की गारंटी नहीं है 100% कि उसमें कोई मिस स्टेटमेंट, उसमें कोई गलती नहीं होगी. दैट इज why we say that audit is an assurance engagement. और किस टाइप की एश्योरेंस एंगेजमेंट है? ऑफ व्हाट काइंड this is an assurance engagement? It is a reasonable assurance engagement. What it is? Reasonable assurance. It provides a reasonable assurance. So what is reasonable assurance? Reasonable assurance, students, you have to understand that it is a high level of assurance but not an absolute assurance. ये कोई कंप्लीट एब्सोल्यूट एश्योरेंस या गारंटी नहीं है. 100% गारंटी नहीं है. एब्सोल्यूट गारंटी या एश्योरेंस नहीं है. इट इज नॉट. इट प्रोवाइड्स ओनली ए रीजनेबल एश्योरेंस. लेकिन रीजनेबल एश्योरेंस भी कैसी है? हाई लेवल ऑफ एश्योरेंस है. ओके. क्या कंफर्ट देता है? जब ऑडिटर ऑडिट करता है तो वो अपनी रिपोर्ट के जरिए यूजर्स को ये एश्योरेंस देता है कि फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स के बारे में उसका क्या ओपिनियन है. ओके. दैट फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स आर फ्री फ्रॉम मटेरियल मिस स्टेटमेंट्स. ओके. तो इज दैट क्लियर? हाँ, रामाचंद्र आर यू आर सेइंग एश्योरेंस मतलब भरोसा. यस, you are saying correctly in Hindi. Yes, Ramachandra, bharosa. So another term, guys, you would be studying throughout the auditing, and all these things you would have to learn is the standards on auditing. Is the standards on auditing. These are essays. Okay. Yes, Rashmi, all the information is reaching. So what are standards on auditing, students? Essays. Standard on auditing, students, detail में we shall be studying an overview of this. We shall be studying in this very chapter. लेकिन आप इसको ब्रीफ में इसको ऐसा समझ सकते हैं कि स्टैंडर्ड्स ऑन ऑडिटिंग डील करते हैं ऑडिटर्स की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी से कि उसको ऑडिट कैसे करना है, उसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज क्या हैं ऑडिट करते टाइम. ओके. सो इसके लिए कई स्टैंडर्ड्स हैं और वो सारे स्टैंडर्ड्स जो आपके सिलेबस में है वो आपके इस चैप्टर में इनकॉर्पोरेटेड है. ओके. जैसे ये चैप्टर जो चैप्टर 1 है ये एसए 200 पे भी काफी हद तक बेस्ड है. इट इज सब्सटेंशियली बेस्ड अपॉन एसए 200. सो पहला स्टैंडर्ड क्या है हमारा? एसए 200. सो व्हाट इज एसए 200? एसए 200 relates to overall objectives of an independent auditor and conduct of audit in accordance with standards on auditing. SA 200 deals with what are the objectives of an independent auditor, that when a person is appointed as an auditor, as an independent auditor to audit financial statements of an entity, then what are his objectives, what are his goals? Okay, unambiguous. Ketan Patel, I have told many times, unambiguous means which is not doubtful. Either you are not hearing, Ketan. And guys, one more important thing is, when you have joined the CA course, you have started preparing for the CA course. Try to do some smart study. Okay, so like you are asking um, what is the meaning of unambiguous. Now this thing you can Google is there in front of you. Just type unambiguous and it will show you the meaning if you do not understand. So, okay. Yes, Vivek, there are many essays, 35 to 40 numbers. But what are the essays in your syllabus? These are there in your module, and one by one we shall be studying all these essays. So you have to remember that essay 200 deals with overall objectives of an independent auditor. Okay, and essays generally deal with the responsibilities of auditor, how an audit is to be conducted. Okay, so all the standards on auditing are mandatory when a audit of financial statements is conducted. The auditor has to carry out audit of financial statements in accordance with standards on auditing. And if he does not carry out the audit in accordance with standards on auditing, then what he has to do, he has to report any material departure. Okay, so as per essay, so first essay is essay 200. Okay, so what are the objectives of an independent auditor as per essay 200? It is to obtain reasonable assurance. Okay, reasonable assurance of what? Whether the financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatements due to fraud or error. से गाइस, आपके सामने बैलेंस शीट है, फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स हैं, अब उसमें मिस स्टेटमेंट हो सकती हैं. नाउ मिस स्टेटमेंट्स माइट बी ड्यू टू टू रीजंस. वन इज एरर, देयर आर जेन्युइन एरर्स क्रीपिंग इन. कोई गलती हो गई, कोई एंट्री करते हुए गलती हो गई, अमाउंट प्रॉपरली रिकॉर्ड नहीं किया, और एक मिस स्टेटमेंट हो सकती है फ्रॉड. सो व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन एरर एंड फ्रॉड? नाउ यू वुड से व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन एरर एंड फ्रॉड? सो गाइस, यू हैव टू रिमेंबर दैट errors are unintentional. These are unintentional misstatements, but frauds are always intentional. They are done intentionally, they are carried out intentionally. जानबूझ के किए जाते हैं. ओके, to deceive somebody or for some illicit gains. Okay, so and what is the second part? Thereby enabling the auditor to express an opinion on whether the financial statements are prepared in all material respects in accordance with applicable financial reporting framework. Okay, so what is applicable financial reporting framework? Applicable financial reporting framework का मतलब है जिस फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्टिंग फ्रेमवर्क के अकॉर्डिंग वो फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स बनाई गई हैं. लाइक in case of a company, financial statements are prepared in accordance with what? in accordance with the requirement of Schedule 3 of Companies Act 2013. So in case of companies, the applicable financial reporting framework is this one. Okay. And to report on the financial statements and communicate as required by essays in accordance with the auditor's findings. Okay. So जो भी ऑडिटर ने ऑडिट प्रोसीजर्स किए उसकी क्या फाइंडिंग्स थी उसको वो कम्युनिकेट करेगा इन अकॉर्डेंस विद व्हाट, इन अकॉर्डेंस विद स्टैंडर्ड्स ऑन ऑडिटिंग. कम्युनिकेट करने के भी स्टैंडर्ड्स ऑन ऑडिटिंग है. Students, you should understand that there are standards on auditing dealing virtually with every aspect of audit. हर एक ऑडिट करने के एस्पेक्ट के स्टैंडर्ड्स ऑन ऑडिटिंग हैं. जैसे SA 200 deals with the overall objectives of audit. Okay, what are the inherent limitations of audit? It deals with such things. Okay, and SA 300 deals with the audit planning. Similarly, there are many other essays. SA 500 deals with the audit evidence. Okay, so there are standards on auditing virtually dealing with every aspect of auditing. Okay, how samples are obtained. So there is a separate standard on auditing. So auditor has to keep in mind these considerations while performing the audit. Okay, so now you broadly, I think you understand that what is the significance of standards on auditing. What do we mean by standards on auditing? Yes, Darshan, I think there are 35 or 37 standards on auditing. I think it is 37. And what is material misstatement? Material means something which is, you can understand for the purpose of this chapter, something which is significant. Okay, so not little mistakes, but some significant things which has the effect on the financial results or material effect on the financial results or the state of affairs of the company. Okay, so you understand the objectives of audit, guys, quickly. So what are the objectives of an independent auditor as per SA 200? So these are to obtain reasonable assurance. These are to obtain reasonable assurance. I have already told you the meaning of reasonable assurance. Reasonable means not absolute assurance, not complete guarantee, not 100% assurance, but it is a high level of assurance. Reasonable assurance to obtain reasonable assurance for what? To ensure that financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatements due to fraud or errors. And what is the second part? To report on the financial statements and to communicate the same as required by standards on auditing in accordance with the auditor's findings. So ऑडिटर ने फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स को ऑडिट किया. नाउ उसका ये भी ऑब्जेक्टिव है कि व्हाट एवर ही हैज फाउंड आउट, जो उसने फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स में जो भी उसकी फाइंडिंग्स थी, ही हैज टू रिपोर्ट. अनलेस ही रिपोर्ट्स टू द पर्सन्स हु हैव appointed him, then without it, what is the use of an audit? Okay, so that is why we say that this is one of the basic ingredient of the objective of an independent auditor. Okay, guys, so you have understood, guys. So I am trying my best Guys, to explain to you in simple terms. Yes, guys, are you understanding it? Please drop your mails. Please drop your mail, guys. Yes, Akshay, Irfana, is that clear to you? What about others, guys? Now, Abhinay, Miss Abhinaya, you are asking, can we write in our own words? Yes, Abhinaya, you have to understand that auditing is a technical subject. So you cannot change the basic terms. Like I give you an example. Like you cannot write reasonable assurance in your own words. So when you have to write reasonable assurance, you have to state that the objective of auditor is to obtain reasonable assurance. Now you cannot change this term. Okay, you can frame your sentences in one way, but you cannot change the basic meaning. Okay, and the terms which are there, like when you have to code the essays, there are specific terms. There are hundreds of new terms you would be learning in this subject. Okay, so you have to state those terms. Writing in on words does not mean taking liberty of creating your own technical words. क्या आपको ये बात क्लियर है स्टूडेंट्स? और ये चीज कब आएगी? जब स्टूडेंट सब्जेक्ट को लर्न करेंगे, व्हेन यू वुड लर्न द सब्जेक्ट से। ये सब्जेक्ट स्टूडेंट ऐसा नहीं है कि आपने एक बार सुन लिया और आपका बस समझ आ गया, हम पेपर लिख देंगे। पेपर में गाइस यू वुड नॉट बी एबल टू राइट वन सेंटेंस. You would not be able to write even one sentence unless you learn the things. So learning here, students, does not mean cramming up the things. No, you have to understand the things. You have to understand and apply those things practically, logically, and then remember. And then you have to learn those terms. So unless you remember, you learn the basic terms which are there in auditing, you would not be able to do justice with the subject. Clear, guys? So scope of audit. आप स्टूडेंट स्कोप ऑफ ऑडिट, स्कोप ऑफ ऑडिट का क्या मतलब है? सो व्हाट डू वी मीन बाय स्कोप? Yes, guys, tell me. When we say scope, what do we mean by scope? Scope क्या क्या मतलब है? So Vivek, first understand the subject, then we will come to all these things. So you do not start writing practice of audit from the day one. First you understand 2-3 chapters, then you try to understand the concepts, remember the things, and then take up your pen. Okay. Yes, scope. Tushar, you are saying how wide it is. Yes, it is true. Scope means what are the boundaries. क्या चीज ऑडिट में आती है, क्या चीज ऑडिट में नहीं आती है. Broadly you can understand it that way. Yes, how broader it is, area. Yes, what things are to be covered in the audit and what things are outside the scope. Like if something that does not fall within the scope of audit, it would be outside the scope of audit. Extent of audit. Yes, this is also right, Shazia. This is also right. Okay. So what it includes, what audit includes, and what it does not include. Basic thing. Okay. So क्या क्या include है audit में? Simple things. The audit should be organized to cover all aspects of the enterprise. So जो financial statements audit हो रही हैं, it should be, the audit should be performed in such way that it covers all aspects of an enterprise. Nothing is left out. Okay. और जैसा कि like what we have read in the scope of, in the objectives of audit as per SC 200. Yes, Melina, all messages are being received. Melina, you have written area of audit. Yes. Whether information contained in the accounting records and source data is reliable. Like students, I have given you an example. आपके सामने बैलेंस शीट आई, आपके सामने फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स आई एक कंपनी की. अब सबसे पहले आप क्या चीज देखेंगे? सबसे what you would see, सबसे पहले तो आप ये देखेंगे कि जो फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स हैं वो उसकी बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट से टैली हो रही हैं कि नहीं. उसके अंडरलाइंग अकाउंटिंग रिकॉर्ड से. फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट किससे बनती हैं? फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट से बनती हैं. ओके. सो यू वुड सी accounting data which is on the systems of the company in any kind of software. Okay. So whether the financial statements are drawn up from the books of accounts, first thing is that. उसके बाद तो बाद वाली चीजें आती हैं. एंड देन यू वुड आल्सो सी कि जो बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स में एंट्री हुई हैं उनका सपोर्टिंग एविडेंस क्या है. Obviously source data you would see, like whether sales are backed up with all proper invoices, whether expenses are backed up with all invoices. Like I had given you example of purchases. क्या प्रूफ है कि वो परचेज हुई. ओके. whether there is an invoice, proper invoice in the name of the company. Okay. whether there is a, if the goods have what is the proof that how the goods have arrived in the premises. Okay. what is the mode of transportation, what is the transportation proof. Okay. So all these things you would see. So in forming his opinion, the auditor shall also decide whether information is properly disclosed. Okay. So disclosure of information is also necessary. You are studying about company account, so you know that in the financial statements of an organization, of a, or say company, not only account balances are reflected, but disclosures are also there. Some material information which is important to be disclosed, which is significant to be disclosed, that is also there. So whether proper disclosures have been made or not, this also falls within the scope of audit. Okay. So the auditor assesses the reliability and sufficiency of information. So auditor, how does auditor ensures that financial statements are reliable? So he first of all he understands the accounting system. कि भैया आप बताइए आपका accounting system क्या है? How do you prepare your books of accounts? What is your system? What are your internal controls? So internal controls, you can understand that what is your system of running the business. Like say if you make sales, then what is the procedure? How do you make sales? Do you make sales on the basis of orders received? Okay. So what is your system in respect of orders which are received by you? And when sales are made, what is your procedure, how the goods get moved out of the factory premises. So, and what are your checks and balances, that there is no misappropriation. Okay, so first of all, I would check the accounting system and internal controls, that how you prepare your books of accounts, and what are the controls operating in your company, what are the controls operating in your organization, uh, to ensure that you run your business efficiently and effectively. Okay, and then I would perform other audit procedures and tests. I would check some entries on sample basis. Okay, so I may send some external confirmations. I may confirm some balances of, say, creditors and debtors. Okay, so these are all audit procedures. So these fall within the scope of audit. Is that clear? Scope of audit is clear to you guys? This is again the table. And now, and another thing, I would also consider the judgments which has been made by the management in preparing financial statements. Guys, you understand, when we prepare the financial statements, there are a lot of judgments creeping in. Like, say, management has to make certain provisions. Management has to choose appropriate accounting policies. There might be uh, 2 3 accounting policies for a particular subject available, so the management may try to choose whichever is appropriate. Okay, so all these things. So when financial statements are prepared, there are a lot of judgments going in. Okay, so all these judgments are made by the management. Okay, so the auditor has to consider whether the judgments the management has made are proper or not. Accounting policies chosen by the management are proper and consistent. So what does not fall within the scope of audit? Now you have to understand that auditor is not supposed to perform the duties which fall outside scope of his competence. Like, say, the auditor cannot certify the life of a machine, कि इस लाइफ इस मशीन एक मशीन की लाइफ क्या होगी. This falls in the domain of an engineer. Only an engineer can say. Okay, so these kind of things do not fall within the scope of an audit. Clear, students? Now, aspects to be covered in audit. Now, aspects is also related to scope of audit. कि कौन से ऑडिट के डिफरेंट फेसेट्स हैं. फेसेट्स मतलब वही चीज की ऑडिटर क्या क्या चीजें उसमें कवर करता है ऑडिटिंग में. ओके, so like we had seen in the scope of audit, an examination of the system of accounting and internal control. First of all, we shall understand what is the accounting system. ओके, कि कैसे आपका अकाउंटिंग सिस्टम और इंटरनल कंट्रोल क्या है, हाउ योर बिजनेस इज बीइंग रन, हाउ यू आर रनिंग योर बिजनेस. ओके, सो दैट देयर आर नो frauds in your business. There, that financial statements which you are preparing, these are error free. How do you ensure this? Okay, because you understand, guys, that again the basic thing that financial statements are the responsibility of the management, क्योंकि फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स मैनेजमेंट की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है. सो अकाउंटिंग सिस्टम डेवलप करना और इंटरनल कंट्रोल बनाना वो भी मैनेजमेंट की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है. कंपनी देखेगी कि उसका बिजनेस किस ढंग से उसको बढ़िया चलेगा, किस ढंग से उसका बिजनेस एफिशिएंटली और इफेक्टिवली चलेगा, तभी तो फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स रिलायबल होंगी. ओके. यस रामाचंद्र, यू आर आस्किंग डेप्रिसिएशन कैलकुलेट करने के लिए लाइफ ऑफ मशीनरी इज रिक्वायर्ड. यस, बट टू टेक्निकली सर्टिफाई दैट this is the life of the machinery, this the auditor cannot say, this the auditor cannot certify. Okay, it is not in his domain. Ketan, you are asking explain competence once again. Competence I have already explained. Okay. So जैसे केतन, I'll give you another example. Say कोई document, if some document is fabricated or not. Fabricated means you understand, fake. Now ये ऑडिटर इस बात की सर्टिफिकेशन नहीं कर सकता कि ये डॉक्यूमेंट आपका फैब्रिकेटेड है या जेन्युइन है, बिकॉज ही इज नॉट एन एक्सपर्ट इन ऑथेंटिकेशन ऑफ डॉक्यूमेंट्स. ये एक स्पेशलाइज्ड फील्ड है. ओके, सो ही cannot certify authentication of a document. Okay, so this falls outside his competence. कि this is a matter of investigation कि एक डॉक्यूमेंट फेक है, फैब्रिकेटेड है या जेन्युइन है. दिस इज a matter of investigation. What an auditor does is that he takes all reasonable care and skill while performing his duties, while performing his audit procedures. He remains alert to the possibilities of fraud, but he cannot vouch that this evidence is that this document is not fabricated or it is fabricated. Okay. Reviewing the systems and procedures, same thing. Checking the arithmetical accuracy of books of accounts. So that is the basic thing, that books of accounts are tallied, these are arithmetically correct. And verification of authenticity and validity of transactions. जो भी ट्रांजैक्शन बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स में है, वेदर उनकी ऑथेंटिसिटी और वैलिडिटी, वेदर दीज आर बैक्ड बाय appropriate documents. Okay, like I've given you the example of purchases, I've given you the example of sales. What is the back end proof? What is the proof that this transaction has happened? Okay. Next thing is ascertaining that proper distinction has been made between capital and revenue expenditure items. So this you already know. This you must have read about in your foundation or probably in accountancy. So distinction between capital and revenue has to be made. अगर capital और revenue के बीच में distinction नहीं होगी तो बहुत खराब हो जाएगा. जैसे for example, say if there is some expenditure which is in the nature of repair to a machinery, okay, it is debited in machinery account. then what would happen? What would be its effect on the financial statements? Yes, guys, tell me. If some expenditure which is of revenue in nature, like machinery repair expenditure, it is wrongly debited to machinery account to the fixed asset, then what would happen? What would be the impact on profits? Yes, tell me. Tell me, guys. Yes, Shazia, material inadequacy means significant shortcomings. कमियां जिसको कहते हैं significant shortcomings. Yes, guys, what would happen in this case? Say there is some machinery repair expenditure. You know that this expenditure is revenue in nature. It should be charged to profit and loss account, but it is not charged. Okay, so but it is debited to machinery account. So if some expenditure which was required to be debited to profit and loss account is not debited but is debited to an asset, then what would happen? Then profits will increase. Then profits would increase. And Darshan, see how you are writing, it will reduce the profits. If some expenditure is debited to a capital asset, then what would happen? It would increase the profits. Okay. Profits would be increased, but not in the same proportion. This you would have to remember, because in the same, if the expenditure has been debited to machinery account, then depreciation would also be wrongly claimed. Okay. So verification of title, existence and value of assets. जो assets financial statements में आ रही हैं, whether these belong to the company, whether these are in the name of the company, whether bills are in the name of the company, or if some land is there, whether title deeds are in the name of the company, and whether these things actually exist. फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स में से बिल्डिंग आ रही है, बिल्डिंग की वैल्यू से 50 lakhs. Okay, so whether that building exists or not, this is part of audit. This is one aspect of audit, to verify that assets which are being reflected in fact do exist. Okay, and the value of assets is reflected correctly. Now, Syed, you are asking, please explain point 7 of scope of audit again. I'll come to it, Syed, later on after finishing this. And students, verification of liabilities, like verification of assets, there is verification of liabilities, whether profits shown by the financial statements are true and fair. Okay. And here we again come to another term, guys, about which you will be reading in greater detail in chapter 3 on audit evidence. But I'll try to explain to you this term here. It is a term which goes by the name of assertion. Assertion क्या है? What is assertion? So again, students, I am telling you, you would be studying about this in greater detail in chapter 3 on audit evidence. So there are many aspects of these terms which would be explained to you, but for the time being, you can understand this term briefly, in short. So students, I'll share the board. I'll try to share the board with you. And so guys, you are able to see the board? So there is a term assertion. Yes, guys, tell me you are able to see the board. Please drop a mail, guys. The board is visible to you. Yes, guys, waiting for your mail. Yes, it's visible. So guys, say in balance sheet of a company, of an organization, there is a cash in hand of say rupees 1 lakh. Okay. So there is a cash in hand of rupees 1 lakh. So when we see this item in the financial statements, in the balance sheet of the company, what would you infer? आप क्या उससे मतलब निकालेंगे? What would you infer? Tell me. What would you infer? Infer आप समझते हैं स्टूडेंट्स? मतलब आप इससे क्या समझेंगे? अगर किसी जस्ट ड्रॉप ए लाइन, आप मॉड्यूल को छोड़ दीजिए, आप बुक्स को छोड़ दीजिए, क्या लिखा है, टैक्स डेफिनेशन को भूल जाइए, आप मेरे को मोटा सा ये बताइए, किसी कंपनी की या किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की, किसी एंटिटी की बैलेंस शीट में कैश इन हैंड 1 लाख रुपए आ रहा है, आपके सामने बैलेंस शीट पड़ी हुई है और उसमें शो करता है कि कैश इन हैंड इज रुपीज 1 लाख। आप उससे क्या मतलब निकालेंगे? आपके दिमाग में क्या आएगा? आपके माइंड में क्या आएगा? यस, drop mail, write in your own words whatever you want to write, any damn thing you want to write, you can write. Yes, Syed, you are asking, you are stating that the company possesses a cash of rupees 1 lakh. Yes, say the balance sheet is of say 31st March 2022 and the cash in hand is of rupees 1 lakh, then I can say that the company had a balance, had a physical available cash in hand. 1 लाख रुपया 31 मार्च 22 को उसके पास कैश था फिजिकल फॉर्म में. Yes, liquidity, you are also saying, Madhuri, that liquidity, that there was a cash and that cash was available with the organization for 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 spending its, for its business purpose or for any purpose. Okay, so इस चीज को हम क्या कहेंगे स्टूडेंट्स? इस चीज को हम कहते हैं एसर्शन. एसर्शन क्या है? assertion is a assert, किसी चीज को assert करना. When I believe in something, I say so. Like मेरी बैलेंस शीट में, कंपनी की बैलेंस शीट में 1 लाख रुपए कैश आ रहा है, तो द कंपनी इज असर्टिंग, द कंपनी इज स्टेटिंग, डंके की चोट पे कंपनी कह रही है कि हमारे पास 1 लाख रुपए कैश था, एंड आई कैन अगेन इन्फर दैट कैश वॉज अवेलेबल फॉर यूटिलाइजेशन. ओके, इफ आई हैड कैश of rupees 1 lakh, if the company had cash of rupees 1 lakh, then that cash was physically available, number one. Number two, that was available for utilization. Okay, so I can infer these things. So who asserts these things? इन चीजों को कौन assert करता है? कौन assert कर रहा है, बताइए मेरे को. Who is asserting these things? Yes, Mala is saying that money is kept for some future payments. Yes, these can also be asserted. Yes, Mala. Yes, Shazia, like दावा करना. Yes, you can say. So इस चीज को कौन assert कर रहा है, students? Tell me. Now here lies the catch, guys. यहीं पे स्टूडेंट्स कैच है, यहीं पे आप मार खा गए. भूमिका, दीक्षा, सैयद, यहीं पे आप लोग मार खा गए. एसर्ट कौन कर रहा है? ऑडिटर कर रहा है या कंपनी कर रही है? फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स बनाना किसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है दोस्त? स्टूडेंट्स, गाइस टेल मी, किसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स बनाना? मैनेजमेंट की. तो एसर्ट कौन करेगा? हु विल एसर्ट? मैनेजमेंट. अब आप खुद ही आंसर कर रहे हो, मैनेजमेंट. सो पहले आपने लिखा ऑडिटर. ऑडिटर तो उस बात को समझ रहा है, ही इज ओनली अंडरस्टैंडिंग इट. एसर्ट तो मैनेजमेंट कर रही है भाई, एसर्ट तो कंपनी कर रही है. So guys, you understand now that assertions are representations by management. That assertions are representations by whom? By management. Okay, so we'll take one more example. से ऐसे ही सपोज कंपनी की बैलेंस शीट में बिल्डिंग आ रही है. ओके, ठीक है. से कंपनी की बैलेंस शीट में बिल्डिंग आ रही है जिसकी वैल्यू से बैलेंस शीट में 25 लाख रुपए है. तो आप क्या क्या इन्फर कर सकते हैं? से टेल मी. if the value of building is appearing in the financial statements of the company, so what will you infer? Value of building of rupees 25 lakhs is appearing in the balance sheet of the company, in the financial statements of the company. So व्हाट वुड यू इन्फर, आप इस बात से क्या क्या इन्फर कर सकते हैं? यस सबा, ऑल मैसेजेस आर बीइंग रिसीव्ड. नो मारिया, यू आर मिस्टेकन, यू आर सेइंग इट इज अबाउट ब्लैक मनी. Where does the black money come into the picture? Tell me. The company is expressly declaring that as on 31st March 22, it was having a cash balance of rupees 1 lakh. Then where is the question of black money? It is all on the papers. Yes. So if the building is coming for appearing in the balance sheet for 25 lakhs, तो आप क्या समझ सकते हैं? अब दिमाग पे जोर डालें अपना स्टूडेंट्स, अब दिमाग पे थोड़ा प्रेशर डालें, जोर डालें, थोड़ा दिमाग को थोड़ा करें, जोर लगाएं थोड़ा. आप सीए कोर्स कर रहे हैं तो आपको एनालिटिकल सोचना आना चाहिए. आपको रट्टा नहीं लगाना, आपको एनालिटिकल सोचना आना चाहिए. यस यस. नाउ रेवती, say if building is 25 lakhs is coming in the financial statements, then you can infer that building is owned by the company. अगर उसकी financial statements में आ रही है तो it means building is owned by the company. That firm, that the company has a title, has a claim on that building. Okay, its value is rupees 25 lakhs. This can be another inference. Its written down value is rupees 25 lakhs. Okay. And number 3, the building is being used for the business of the company because it is appearing in the balance sheet of the company. Then we are entitled to assume that that building is for the use of the company. Okay. So these are the kinds of inferences we can make. So first thing I want you to understand is that assertions are representations by management. These are not representations by auditor. These are representations by management. Okay. So what kind of representations are these? These may be explicit or otherwise. Explicit का क्या meaning है? Explicit means which is expressly stated. Like say cash in hand was rupees 1 lakh, it was expressly stated. Building value is 25 lakhs, it means that WDV is 25 lakh. It is expressly stated. Now what is not expressly stated is that building is used for the business purposes of the company. So this is the another logical inference which I am trying to make. Okay. So assertions can be explicit or implicit. Okay. So these are representations by management which may be explicit or otherwise. Otherwise means it can be opposite to explicit. It can be implicit. That are embodied in financial statements. Embodied का क्या मतलब है? Which are present. जो कि financial statements में है. Which are embodied in financial statements as used by the auditor to consider different type of potential misstatements that may occur. Now auditor का क्या role है? Auditor जो management assertions कर रही है financial statements को, उसको यूज करता है टू वेरीफाई कि क्या क्या मिसस्टेटमेंट्स हो सकती हैं, क्या गलतियां, क्या मिसस्टेटमेंट्स हो सकती हैं. जैसे कि बिल्डिंग आ रही है 25 लाख की, तो क्या बिल्डिंग एग्जिस्ट करती है? क्या बिल्डिंग बिजनेस पर्पस के लिए यूज हो रही है, उस पर्पस के लिए जो कि और क्योंकि बैलेंस शीट में जो कंपनी की फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स में आ रही है. अगर हम कैश इन हैंड की बात करें तो क्या उस दिन को कैश इन हैंड था? तो ऑडिटर ने क्या उसको वेरीफाई किया उसको, ताकि कोई मिस स्टेटमेंट में तो नहीं थी? 1 लाख था या 1.25 लाख था, या 1,50,000 था, या 80,000 था? ये तो तभी है जब अगर ऑडिटर ने उस दिन वेरीफाई किया होगा. So you can basically understand that everything in financial statements, every head of account is assertion about something. हर एक अकाउंट कुछ ना कुछ assertion है, हर एक हेड ऑफ अकाउंट कुछ ना कुछ assertion है, मैनेजमेंट उसके बारे में कुछ ना कुछ कह रही है. These financial statements are speaking. कौन बोल रहा है उसके बारे में? मैनेजमेंट. Is that clear? So we can say that assertions are representations by management, okay, whether explicit or otherwise. These are representations by management, these are beliefs of the management, whether explicit means whether these are expressly stated or not expressly stated, as embodied in financial statements, as these are present in financial statements. जो हम assertion की बात कर रहे हैं, these should be present whether expressly stated or not expressly stated, okay. And as used by the auditor, assertions are used by the auditor, these are not made by the auditor, these are used by the auditor to consider different type of potential misstatements that may occur, okay. Assertions are used, you can understand that it is a framework for auditor to apply his procedures, to check the assertions of the management by applying required audit procedures. That management is saying so, and I would apply the procedures to verify whether the assertions of management in this respect are correct or not, whether these are valid or not, okay. Yes, Naresh, you are jumping to artificial intelligence. Now these things would come later on. Artificial intelligence, data analytics. So first you understand the basic things. Yes, Yashika, I am able to see your questions. You are saying, can you give more examples of otherwise? Otherwise, Yashika, I have already told you. Like say in case of machinery, if the in the financial statement machinery is coming for 50 lakhs, so ये चीज तो एक्सप्लिसिट है कि WDV मशीनरी की 50 lakhs है. और अदरवाइज क्या है, मैं क्या एज्यूम कर सकता हूं कि मशीनरी इज कमिंग इन द बैलेंस शीट, सो इट इज बीइंग यूज्ड फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ द बिजनेस. That depreciation has been charged on the machinery because WDV is reflected. What other thing I can infer? That machinery bills are in the name of the company, okay. That machinery is owned by the company, okay. Now and all other things about assertions, guys, you would be learning in chapter 3 on audit evidence. So this was just to brief you about what is the basic meaning of assertions. Now many queries have come regarding point number 7 of the scope of audit, so I think that was left out. Guys, you are able to understand the new subject? Yes, guys, are you able to understand the new subject, guys? So I would request a technical person to see whether the video is stuck. Yes, guys, you are able to see the video? Yes, guys, the screen is visible to you. Now, students, you are saying this point number 7, constraints on scope of audit. So all these things, students, you would be learning later on in your second module. So you just try to understand constraint means limitation. से स्कोप ऑफ ऑडिट हमने समझ लिया कि ये चीजें ऑडिट के स्कोप में है, लेकिन अगर मान लो ऑडिटर को रोका जाए, उसके काम पे लिमिटेशन लगा दी जाए, देयर इज सम lid which is put on the work of auditor, which any work which was required to be performed, and it is said that you cannot perform this. So it means that there is a constraint on the scope of audit, that an auditor was required to do this thing, like he was required to say verify stocks of the company, but the company says, look, you cannot do this. So this is a constraint on the scope of audit. So what would happen in this case? So what would happen in this case, guys? Drop your mails. Yes, drop your mails, guys. Say if the auditor was required to do something and the company says you cannot do this procedure. Say the auditor was as part of audit, he was well within his right to verify stocks of the company, to physically verify stocks of the company. Okay, but the company puts a limitation. The company says you cannot do this thing. Then what it would lead to? Tell me. इससे क्या होगा? Yes. Now Jay Suneja. Yes, you are writing correctly. Yes, Jay. Jasleen. Yes, you are also writing correctly. The auditor will not be able to give his opinion. The auditor will not reach the conclusions. So guys, again, understand what was the basic objective of an auditor. What was the definition of auditing? Auditing का purpose क्या है? To give an opinion on the financial information, to give an opinion on the financial statements. Say if there is some constraint, some limitation on the scope of audit, then it reduces the audit, it impairs the auditor's ability to express an opinion. So when we say that auditor gives an unqualified or unmodified opinion, it means that auditor says that he has not found anything adverse, that financial statements reflected true and fair view of the state of affairs of the concern. This type of opinion is called as unmodified opinion. Okay, but say if some limitation, some constraint is put on the scope of audit, that then it might affect the auditor's ability to give an unqualified opinion. Then he may have to change his opinion, or he may have to disclaim. He may have to say that I cannot give opinion because you are not you have put constraint on my work. You have put constraint on the scope of my work. Yes, you can understand that way. Then in that case, the report will not be appropriate. That is the correct way of thinking. So students, in auditing, it is very important that you apply the concepts logically, step by step. From one step, you hop on to another thing, from second to third, and to third to fourth, and then you reach a conclusion. So auditing in itself is also a very, very logical subject. And that is why at the initial stage I had told you to concentrate on the fundamentals. Never lose the sight of what is the main objective of an auditor. What is the scope of audit? Okay, what does an audit include? What an audit does not include? Okay, so clear, guys. Yes, Darshan, the auditor submits his reports to the persons who have appointed him. Like in case of a company, the members of the company, the shareholders of the company appoint an auditor. So the auditor's report is addressed to the shareholders who are virtually the owners of the company. Okay. So at this stage, guys, we'll take a short break. A break of 10 minutes and we'll meet again after 10 minutes. So break of 10 minutes, guys. Yeah, welcome back, students. So, students, as I have told you earlier, that audit is not legally mandatory for all type of organizations. Okay, so it may be mandatory for some type of entities, like I have told you that for companies in India, it is mandatory to get accounts audited under Companies Act 2013. And say even under some other laws, like say in case of Income Tax Act, certain organizations, if they cross certain entities, if they cross a certain level of turnover, they are required to get their accounts audited, irrespective of the legal form of the organization, whether it is a company, or whether it is a firm or a proprietorship concern. Okay, so there may be requirements under different laws to get the accounts audited. In that case, it would be mandatory, and it can be voluntary also. Voluntary means out of own will. So why some organization would want its accounts to be audited? Why? What could be the reason? These reasons, that why an organization, why an entity would want its accounts to be audited, are in fact the benefits of audit, are in fact the advantages of audit. Okay, because if you get accounts audited from an independent auditor, many benefits, many advantages flow to the organization. Okay, and there can also be certain requirements, say in case of not for profit organizations, like say in case of schools, that governments would give them grants only if they submit their audited accounts. So then, although audit may not be required directly, but it would be required indirectly. Okay, so to say so that audit is always mandatory is not correct. It can be voluntary also. It can be mandatory also. Okay. Now, now we'll see what are the benefits of audit. What are the advantages of audit of financial statements? So what could be the advantages of audit? There can be n number of advantages, friends. There can be many advantages. Some 8 to 10 points are written in your module. Okay, so like first point is, it safeguards the interests of financial interests of persons who are not associated with the management. Okay, say guys, in case of a company, now company is, you know that shareholders are the owners of the company. They own the company. Now who runs the company? The company is run by, virtually by, board of directors. They are the governing body. They run, they run affairs of the company. So the persons who are not associated with the management of the entity, they their financial interests are protected, because when a financial statement audit is carried out in accordance with the standards on auditing, then it carries a sanctity. It shows to the users of financial statements that an audit has been performed diligently in accordance with recognized standards on auditing, standards which are recognized not only in India but globally, worldwide. Okay, and it protects the interests of various users, stakeholders, like like we have discussed already, like public at large, okay, like financial institutions, bankers, creditors, shareholders, okay. It acts as a moral check on employees. Say, what does this mean? This means, say, the employees know that audit is going to be conducted, audit is going to be performed. Are Baba, they would say, the auditor has to come, the audit staff would come, they would check everything, they would check the financial statements, they would check the books of accounts. So it acts as a deterrence. So there is a deterrence. Deterrence, you understand, guys? That deterrent means to prevent something from happening. Okay, moral check on employees. Key, they have a fear. They have a fear in their mind of being caught if they do something wrong. Okay, it acts as a moral check on the employees. And another thing could be Atul Agarwal. I am trying to speak both in English and Hindi, but you have to understand, Atul, that this is a pan India class. सारे भारत के लोग, भारत के students spread over all over the states, they are watching, they might be watching. So obviously you have to understand that some people are not well conversant with may not be well conversant with Hindi. They might be well conversant in English and in their regional language. So even then I am trying to speak wherever it is appropriate to do. Okay, audited financial statements in helpful in settling liability for taxes. Okay, अगर ऑडिटेड फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स हैं तो गवर्नमेंट उस पर बिलीव करती है. द गवर्नमेंट बिलीव्स ऑन ऑडिटेड अकाउंट्स एंड इट इज ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ द ऑडिटेड रिजल्ट्स, audited profits that companies are paying taxes. So you can very well understand how important it is um, for the how important the concept of auditing is, or how important auditing is. Okay, they are also useful in settling trade disputes. Say there is some dispute between management and workers for claiming certain bonus. Okay, so for claiming bonus they would see the audited statements, what is the profit, because bonus is dependent upon profits. Okay, so Ketan, yes, embezzlement can be fraud. Yes, embezzlement means gaman karna. Generally, embezzlement is used in relation to cash. Okay, gaman karna. So embezzlement is also a type of fraud. It is a misappropriation of asset. An audit can help in detection of wastage and losses. So all these are ancillary, all these are advantages of an audit. So you yourself can make out many. Audit ascertains whether books of accounts and records have been kept. And this one is also important. As an appraisal function, audit reviews the existence and operation of various controls in the organization. So Atul, this is dependent upon board of studies. I do not know how many lectures will it take. You will get to know it from the schedule. As an appraisal function, so guys, I have told you that one of the foremost functions of an auditor is to review the controls operating in organization, how the business is running, what the controls have been devised by the management to ensure that business is run efficiently, effectively, without any frauds. Okay, and the financial statements are reliable. So during the process of auditing, the auditor reviews the the system which has been designed and implemented by the management. Okay. So by doing so, it also brings out weaknesses in the control system. So that is why we say that audit is an appraisal function. Okay, appraise करना क्या होता है? किसी चीज को रिव्यू करना. If say I am reviewing work done by, I am appraising work done by Atul Agarwal. Okay, so I am appraising his work. Yes, CAs have the power. Yes, Atul, it is correct. Financial statement audit field lies with the chartered accountants. Audited accounts are of great help in the settlement of accounts. Say in case of reconstitution of a firm, then what are the profits? How much money is to be paid to the partners? So reliance is made on the audited accounts. Okay, so benefit to government, this I have already explained. Okay, students, so now you can understand that there are large number of benefits available from an independent audit of financial statements, and that is why audit is needed. That is why even in those cases where audit is not mandatory, the management of those organizations may opt to get the accounts audited voluntarily out of their own will. Okay. So is that clear? Yes, guys, tell me, is that clear? Now we'll come to another topic, inherent limitations of an audit. So I have already told you, students, at the beginning that audit is not a 100% guarantee. You have to remember that audit is not an 100% guarantee. Auditor provides only a, what kind of assurance does auditor provide? He provides only a reasonable assurance. Okay, he provides a reasonable assurance that financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatements, whether due to fraud or errors. So when I say that auditor cannot provide absolute assurance, that auditor cannot provide absolute guarantee, then what is the risk? So students, tell me, अगर मैं कहता हूं कि एक ऑडिटर या ऑडिट 100% गारंटी नहीं दे सकता कि फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स में कोई एरर या फ्रॉड नहीं है, he cannot provide 100% guarantee, he cannot provide absolute assurance. Absolute means when we say absolute, complete, कोई possibility नहीं है भैया, बिल्कुल कोई आप ढूंढ के दिखा दो, कोई हो ही नहीं सकती वो वाली सिचुएशन. So but reasonable means it is a high level of assurance but not absolute assurance. Okay, so when the auditor gives a reasonable assurance, so what is the risk? What is the risk in it? When auditor is only in a position to give a reasonable assurance, he cannot give assurance to users, he cannot give 100% guarantee to users of the financial statements, then what is the risk involved? किस चीज का रिस्क है? रिस्क समझते हैं स्टूडेंट्स आप, क्या होता है रिस्क? रिस्क होता है कोई चीज गलत हो जाना, समथिंग एडवर्स हैपनिंग. तो किस चीज का रिस्क है? स्टूडेंट्स प्लीज ड्रॉप योर मेल्स. इट्स एन ओपन सेशन, डू नॉट गो बाय बुक, डू नॉट गो बाय योर मॉड्यूल. Just tell me what is in your mind, what are your thoughts, then Then we will come to module. What are your thoughts? First tell me. Yes. The risk is there for fraud. Yes. Love Vyas. It can be true. Shah Alam made some error in statement. Yes, it can be true also. Shazia error, fabricated proof. Yes, it can be. So इसमें risk you understand now that something going wrong, something adverse. So when the auditor is not in a position to give 100% guarantee, 100% assurance, then there is a risk of failure of audit. We call it as audit risk. उसको ऑडिटिंग की लैंग्वेज में हम क्या कहते हैं? ऑडिट रिस्क. Audit risk, what does this mean? Audit risk means failure, that auditor expresses inappropriate opinion. Say there were material misstatements in financial statements and auditor was required to give an opinion that your financial statements are not free from material misstatements, that he had to give a modified opinion. Okay. But by performing his audit procedures, he was not able, he performed the audit, but he was not able to dig out those errors or say frauds, and he expresses an inappropriate opinion. He gives a wrong opinion. He gives a inappropriate opinion. तो इसको हम क्या कहते हैं? What we say, what we call it in the language of auditing, we say it as audit risk. That risk of audit going haywire, risk of audit going wrong, risk of audit, risk of failure of audit. That what was the, again guys, come to what was the objective of audit? Objective of audit is to express an opinion. So अगर वो उसने अपना ओपिनियन ही गलत दे दिया तो रिस्क है ना, ऑडिट के फेलियर का रिस्क है. देयर इज ए रिस्क दैट ही एक्सप्रेसेस एन इनएप्रोप्रिएट ओपिनियन. ओके, इसको हम क्या कहते हैं? ऑडिट रिस्क. हर एक चीज में रिस्क होता है. से व्हेन यू इन्वेस्ट मनी in some business or you invest money in securities, there is a risk. Okay, every activity involves some kind of risk. You are driving a car, there is a risk. So the chances that an auditor might express an inappropriate opinion, okay, that he expresses an opinion that financial statements give a true and fair view, where he should have given opinion opposite to that, this is known as audit risk. इसको क्या कहते हैं? Audit risk. Now you have to understand guys that can audit risk be completely reduced to zero? Can it be totally eliminated? No, the answer is no. Why this is no? I would touch briefly. You would study about this in greater detail in chapter 4 on risk assessment and internal control. Why it cannot be reduced to zero? Because of the inherent limitations of the audit. क्योंकि जो ऑडिटिंग प्रोसेस है वो ही ऐसा है कि उसकी अपनी लिमिटेशंस हैं, उसकी अपनी कमियां हैं, जिसकी वजह से वो 100% गारंटी नहीं दे सकता. वो क्या कमियां है? सो वो क्या लिमिटेशंस है? किस तरह से ऑडिट प्रोसेस बंधा हुआ है? किस तरह से, क्यों वो 100% एश्योर गारंटी नहीं दे सकता, दिस वी विल डिस्कस. सो दीज आर नोन एज inherent limitations of audit. Inherent means coming from within. Inherent का मतलब है coming from within, जो उस चीज के which are coming from within that thing. क्योंकि ऑडिट की नेचर ही ऐसी है, that nature of audit is such that there are certain inherent limitations. So these inherent limitation, again students, these are described in essay 200. So one more important thing that you have to understand, that audit risk cannot be reduced, cannot be eliminated completely. It can be reduced. Although it can be reduced, the auditor, by selecting appropriate procedures, by performing audit diligently, he can reduce the audit risk. He can reduce the chances of his audit going wrong, but he cannot wash it out completely. वो इसको बिल्कुल एलिमिनेट नहीं कर सकता. क्योंकि why? Because inherent limitations are there in audit. Okay, so वो inherent limitations कैसी हैं? Why do these arise? These arise because nature of financial reporting. Why we have understood, guys, that say when you prepare financial statements, then it involves many subjective decisions. It involves many judgments, like I have told you already. So these judgments might go wrong. तो जजमेंट है, सब्जेक्टिव डिसीजन है, like accounting, like I have told you about accounting policies. Sudhanshu Shekhar, where are you? In which world you are living, my dear friend? You are stating SA 200 means accounting standard. अरे भैया accounting standard कहाँ से आ गए? From the beginning I am telling you, SA means standards on auditing. Accounting standards accounts के बारे में है. Standards on auditing deal with responsibilities of auditor while conducting audit. An auditor has to conduct audit in accordance with standards on auditing. So पहला स्टैंडर्ड ऑन ऑडिटिंग है जिसपे ये चैप्टर लार्जली बेस्ड है, वो है SA 200, standards on auditing. Is that clear, Sudhanshu? This shows, guys, that some of you are not taking that much interest. Okay, the nature of audit procedures. Second is nature of audit procedures. Audit procedures. So I have already told you that auditor performs audit procedures. He obtains audit evidence by performing audit procedures. Okay. So the nature of audit procedures is such that these do not give a free hand to the auditor to obtain audit evidence. Like, say, I inquire something from management or from the staff of the company, and they do not provide me the complete information. Then I, as an auditor, I cannot force. Okay, I cannot force the employee of the company to give me the required information. I cannot force the management to give me the required information. Okay, so this is my practical limitation as an auditor. I can request them. If they do not provide the information, say so in my report. Okay, I would see that if this information is not provided, then what is effect on my opinion? Next, like it is difficult to detect frauds because frauds might involve carefully laid out schemes and these might be committed by management. So we have already learned that auditor is not an expert in authentication of documents. वो तो audit procedures, the auditor would perform his audit procedures and obtains audit evidence, and if on performing his audit procedures he comes to know something fishy, then he will modify his further procedures in accordance with that. Okay, so this is also one of the reason that audit risk is always there. It can be reduced, but it cannot be eliminated. Okay, I have already told you that auditor is neither trained or expected to be expert in authentication of documents. Like even by applying audit procedures, even by carrying audit in accordance with standards on auditing, there may be a possibility that fraud is not dug out because the promoters are, the management is very clever. They have hidden, they have carried out fraud in such a way that it is not possible to unearth it. Okay, and since the auditor has no investigative power, okay, he cannot, he cannot force somebody to provide him with the evidence. Okay, like say government officers have investigative power. Okay, so this brings us to another question, that what is the difference between audit and investigation? So audit is, you have to understand guys, that audit is not an official investigation into alleged wrongdoing. कुछ गलत हुआ है तो ऑडिट, ऑडिट जो है उसकी इन्वेस्टिगेशन नहीं है. ऑडिटर डज नॉट do his work by starting on the presumption that a fraud exists. He audits the financial statements, he performs the audit procedures as required by standards on auditing, he obtains the audit evidence, he evaluates the audit evidence. Okay, on the basis of that he arrives at his conclusions and his opinion is formed. Okay, but investigation starts with the presupposition that some wrong is there. Okay, that is the difference between audit and investigation. Okay, so students, audit और investigation एक चीज नहीं है, आपको समझना है. दो टर्म्स अलग अलग से हैं. ऑडिट अलग चीज है, इन्वेस्टिगेशन अलग चीज है. वी आर कंसर्न्ड विद ऑडिटिंग ओनली. इन ऑडिटर जब ऑडिट करता है तो वो ये समझ के नहीं चलता है कि ऑडिट स्टार्ट करता है कि ऑलरेडी कोई फ्रॉड एग्जिस्ट करता है. वो ये समझ के स्टार्ट नहीं करता है. ही कंडक्ट्स ऑडिट इन अकॉर्डेंस विद स्टैंडर्ड्स ऑन ऑडिटिंग. वो प्रोसीजर्स अडॉप्ट करता है, एविडेंस ऑब्टेन करता है. ऐसा करते हुए if he comes across fraud, then he has to report it. But his procedures are not specifically designed to dig out that fraud. Okay, so like when some investigation is conducted, then it is suspected, तो उसमें शक होता है कि फ्रॉड एग्जिस्ट करता है. लेकिन ऑडिट में ऐसा ऐसा नहीं है कि हाँ भाई इसमें फ्रॉड एग्जिस्ट करता है तो ऑडिट करवाना है. नो, दैट इज नॉट द केस. सो we can also correlate it with the objective of auditor, that objective of audit is to obtain a reasonable assurance that financial statements are free from material misstatements. Okay, and to give an opinion. It is not to dig out some fraud. However, by performing the audit procedures, if fraud comes out, then it is fine enough. Then auditor would have to report. Okay, and also the auditor doesn't have the power to investigate, like to record the statements on oath. Like say some government authorities, they have power to issue the summons. Like say tax authorities, they can call somebody and record his statement. They have power to issue summons and to record the statements. The auditor can request the management to give him access to the books of accounts and to provide the information. But if despite the request of the management, the request of the auditor, the management does not provide, then the auditor would see what is the impact of all this on his opinion. Okay, so clear guys, the difference between audit and investigation, is that clear to you? ऑडिट और इन्वेस्टिगेशन के बीच में आपको डिफरेंस क्लियर है स्टूडेंट्स? टेल मी. Yes, MCQs I will take in. I have already uploaded correct incorrect type, but I think we shall, since it is the first lecture, so we shall take up those assignment relating to correct incorrect in second lecture. Okay. So guys, you understand clearly the difference between auditor and investigation? Yes, all are saying clear. So this also leads to limitation of audit, क्योंकि ऑडिटर इन्वेस्टिगेटर नहीं है, इसलिए पॉसिबिलिटी एग्जिस्ट करती है कि उसके ऑडिट के बाद भी there might be some fraud, there might be material misstatements due to fraud or errors. That is why we say that auditor does not provide an absolute assurance. Okay. Bhumika, what is your question? You are not able to frame it properly. Please frame it properly, then I will answer. Now, next point is timeliness of financial reporting and balance between benefit and costs. This I will try to explain you. Your next session is on Tuesday, on coming Tuesday, Darshan. Dates you can check from the schedule, which is on the BOS portal. So auditing classes will be in evening on Saturdays, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Every Saturday, Tuesday and Thursday. Okay. Yes, Muhammad Aslam, what you are writing is, this is about chapter 4. It is a product of audit risk, is a product. You would be studying all these things in chapter 4. Okay. So that is why I'm saying do not jump to so fast. Just try to absorb what I'm trying to say. Okay. So students, you have also to understand that auditor has to perform all those procedures which are there for him to perform. Okay, for there is no alternative, which are there in standards on auditing. He has to perform all those procedures. If some procedure is, say, costly or time consuming, then that is not a ground for him to skip that. वो उसको छोड़ नहीं सकता. अगर उसको perform करना है, then he has to perform it. But he has to keep in mind the concept of timeliness also. Say, guys, say if I am auditing a company for, say, last 2 years, and I have obtained some information, I have gained some understanding, or I have obtained some evidence, say, during the course of these 2 years. Now I am into 3rd year of auditing of that company. Okay, of the same company I am auditing for 3rd year. Now the information I had collected 1 year back, its relevance might decrease. That information might not be relevant in 3rd year. Its relevance might decrease. So auditor has always to strike a balance between the reliability of information and its cost. That he cannot ignore that financial, he cannot ignore the fact that the information obtained by him 1 year back might not be relevant in current period due to change in circumstances. So timeliness means that information should be timely, which is timely, which is relevant in the context. Okay. Yes, Ketan, you are prima facie means, yes, first impression. You are right. Other matters affecting limitations of audit. So there are other matters also, like frauds. Fraud, we have already told that there might be management collusion, that management itself might be involved in fraud. The people who are responsible for preparing the financial statements of the company, they might be themselves involved in perpetration of a fraud. So all the things they would be presented, they would have made sure that auditor does not come to know of anything. Okay. So this leads to again us to one of the limitations of audit, one of the inherent limitations of audit. And another thing could be like related party disclosures. Related party, when say there are common directors, there are common promoters between companies. So there are transactions between two related companies, and the relationship is not known to the auditor, or the management may not disclose those relationships. So then the auditor might express inappropriate opinion. His audit risk might be increased. So this also leads us to another inherent limitation of auditor, inherent limitation of the audit process. Okay. And not the least, there can be future events. Future में क्या होगा? The auditor does not know. Nobody can know what would happen after 6 months, like COVID came. Okay, so who knew that this would happen? That many businesses did go bust in the COVID period. Many companies had to shut down their shutters. Many companies suffered losses. So there are future events or conditions. that may cause an entity to cease to continue as a going concern. Going concern, guys, you understand? You must have read this concept of going concern in accounts. Have you read about AS1, guys? Accounting Standard 1. You have read about AS1? So going concern is one of the fundamental accounting assumptions, that accounts of organizations, accounts of entities are made on the presumption that that entity would continue to operate in future, in foreseeable future, in near future. It is not going to shut down its shop. It is not going to shut down its business. Okay. So we say in accounting language, if a company is going to continue its operations in foreseeable future, it has no intention to materially scale down its operations, then we say that it is a going concern. And the accounts, the financial statements are prepared on the basis of going concern. So guys, it is because of the going concern that that we assume that money is going to come from debtors. We show it in the heading current assets. Why? Because we know that money is going to be realized in future. It is fundamental accounting assumption. Okay. Or the trade payables are there, creditors are there, then it is assumed that money has to be paid to them in near future, in foreseeable future. So it is fundamental accounting assumption. So what would happen in future is not known to anybody. So future events might be such that they impact the ability of a business to continue as a going concern. Okay. Yes, Muhammad. I would tell you how to remember, but in next class. Okay. So you understand? No, Bhumika, there is a difference between what you have understood of going, that a company, you are stating that going concern concept means that a company will never die. First of all, going concern is not applicable, is applicable not only to companies but to all type of entities. Okay. Going concern assumption doesn't state that company will never stop its business, but it states that the company will continue its operation in foreseeable future. Okay. जो आने वाला समय है, इन फोरसीबल फ्यूचर, जो देख रहा है आज से 50 साल बाद क्या होगा उसकी बात नहीं हो रही है, इन फोरसीबल फ्यूचर, एंड इट इज नॉट गोइंग टू मेटेरियली स्केल डाउन इट्स ऑपरेशंस. वो अपना जो काम कर रही है, जो उसका नेचर ऑफ बिजनेस है, वो उसको मेटेरियली लिक्विडेट या काम नहीं कर रही है. ओके. So is that clear? So all these things lead us to what? Lead us to inherent limitations of audit. All these things affect, all these things impact conduct of audit, and obviously when these are impacting performance and conduct of audit, these drag, keep back an auditor from giving 100% assurance that financial statements are free from material misstatements. Okay. So you understand, guys, inherent limitations of audit? Clear? Now this is the table again summarizing all these things. All these things are summarized in this table. We'll also quickly go through a relationship of auditing with other disciplines. Now, guys, there are many other subjects, other disciplines with which the auditing is related. So auditing, basically, you can understand, it is interdisciplinary in nature. It is connected with many other subjects, like you would say how. Now auditing is definitely related with accounts, isn't it? It is where accounting ends, auditing begins. What does an auditor do? He verifies the financial statements. Now the preparation of financial statements falls within the domain of accounting, within the subject of accounting. Okay, so definitely there exists a relationship between accounting and auditing, quite logical. Similarly, there is a relationship between accounting and law. So if an auditor is not well conversant with laws, suppose if an auditor is not well conversant with provisions of Companies Act or say taxation laws, okay, so then how he is going to ensure, that that financial statements are prepared in accordance with the applicable financial reporting framework, in accordance with the requirements of law. Okay, so that is very important. The auditor has to have a knowledge of laws affecting the entity. So we had seen that it falls within the scope of audit, that an entity, that auditor has to verify whether entity is complying with laws or not. Auditing and economics, yes, auditing is related to economics. How? What are the macroeconomic policies of a government, of the government of the day? So all these things are affecting the business. What are the fiscal policies of the government? What are the incentives provided by the government? So these all type of things, macroeconomic picture, these all type of things are affecting the business environment of a company. So therefore auditing and economics are related. So on microeconomics purpose, also how prices are determined. Okay, these the auditor is definitely concerned. Another thing, auditing and behavioral science. Now, by now, students, you must have understood that auditor, while performing his duties, he has to interact with a lot of people. Obviously, he has to seek the information. He has to tactfully handle the people. He has to perform the audit procedures. He has to deal with the management. So all this involves skill and tact. He has to understand the psychology of people. Okay. Say if I go to a bank for auditing, before I uttered one word from my mouth, the bank manager says, sir, मैं फाइल मंगवा रहा हूं, हमारे यहाँ सब कुछ ठीक है. There is no hunky dory in our branch. Everything is fine. Everything is hunky. Everything is perfect. So what impression should I get? I should be able to understand that why that bank manager is saying me so. अभी तो मैंने अपना काम शुरू भी नहीं किया. Why he is saying me so? it should alert me why he is trying to tell me all the nice things about the branch. Okay. Mohammed, you are thinking already. I am still continuing. So auditing and statistics and mathematics. Definitely, guys, auditor is not supposed to check each and every transactions. He carries out his work, he carries out his audit work based upon sample checking. So how he obtains the sample? He uses statistical methods to obtain sampling. He may follow statistical sampling. So uh, statistics is also relevant, and mathematics, the basic mathematics is also relevant. It needs no exaggeration. So auditing and data processing, all the information, financial information is stored on computers these days. So what are the controls in this respect? Okay, so all these things, auditor must have knowledge of all this. So therefore audit is definitely related to data processing. In fact, a new field of information system audit has emerged, where the auditor has to check that whether the controls over broadly over computer operations regarding software, hardware, all these are operational as required by the as mandated by the management. Okay, so this is a new field. Like say in case of banks, there are information system auditors who check who conduct audit only in respect to information system. Okay. Similarly, there is a relationship between auditing and financial management. Like financial management as a subject, guys, you understand, it involves concepts like working capital management, you would be studying, and like ratio analysis. You might have gained a little knowledge about it in your class 12, say in your business studies. So while performing his procedures, auditor may have to calculate various ratios, and these all things are borrowed from the field of financial management. So that is why we say that auditing is interdisciplinary in nature. Okay, that is why we say that auditing is interdisciplinary in nature. So is that clear to you guys? So first lecture, how was it? Tell me. You are able to understand what I am trying to convey you. You are able to understand what I am trying to convey you. So we will be doing, guys, some questions, correct, incorrect type. We will discuss about how to remember the things, in particularly for auditing exam, for auditing paper, what precautions you have to take while writing your answers. All these things we would be discussing in the days to come. So thanks for patiently viewing and hearing my lecture. Thank you once again, guys. Good night to all of you. Good night, guys.